Expat lifestyle with Bads. I'm inside a cave. Welcome to Sassi di Matera. And by the way, thumbs up, subscribe, bell notifications on. I hope you enjoy this episode here at Matera. And here's where we're staying, Corte San Pietro. I'll just quickly show you the courtyard and then the room, okay? Let's go. Andiamo. But this door from reception leads into this lovely little courtyard. A feature is these two big wells that directly link into an underground network directly underneath this hotel. It's amazing, and I'll show you that a little bit later. And it's importantly close to everything. So our driver dropped us off directly outside after picking us up at Alberobello. And that's the beauty of getting a private driver too. And here's our room here. So let's just show you through, shall we? Benvenuto, welcome. Now this is an original cave dwelling. So we've got a nice little entrance area and some seating there. Walk through. Love the candles. The rooms, uninhabited for over 50 years, are former cave dwellings and have kept the same house numbers as in the past. The process of preservation and restoration apparently has been quite extensive. All the candles, nice touch. Bathroom area just here behind the curtains. So a nice little walk-in shower, recess there. Alright, so I'll just turn around and show you the view back towards the entrance door. So what do you think, everyone? Now the transport situation. We flew from Florence into Bari. Look, we booked a car through booking.com from the airport, and the driver took us straight to Alberobello. So straight from the airport right to the door of the Trulli where we stayed at. And that was about €70. We then, through the hotel, organised another driver, Francesco, and he picked us up at the door and dropped us down at our door here in Matera. So that was €120, and we're using him again when we drive from here, Matera, to the airport, and again €120. So all up, just over €300 for our transport, private driver, door to door. That's not too bad when you start comparing it to the charges for a hire car. Just something to think about. Hey, what about the view behind me? I certainly do encourage you to do the walk over to Belvedere, and I'm standing at the entrance to that walk, and I'll show you that in a moment. It's well worth seeing any time of the day, but if you can manage it just before sunset, bear in mind it's quite dark coming back, so you do have to be careful. Check out this footage. Mountain goat territory. That's it there. Right, so we're right down the bottom of the canyon below the Sassi di Matera. You hear the running water. We're going across a swing bridge. It's pretty full on. You've got to be fairly nimble, reasonably fit to do this one. Reminds me a little bit of Indiana Jones. It's quite shaky. No, know. Now, my wife doesn't like heights, so advice is don't look down. It's a fair hike, mind you, a fair hike. So we've got some of the original caves, and these go back to 7,000-8,000 years BC. How about that? So old, so old. What a view they'd have. But obviously back then they wouldn't be looking at all those buildings there, even though they're quite ancient too. So the Sassi di Matera, it's the third oldest continuously inhabited civilised city in the world. So that's the third oldest. Pretty amazing, isn't it? The original inhabitants living in caves where I'm standing in right now, but there's some terrible stories about the mid-1900s, the shame of Italy, people, families living over there in absolute squalor. Just beautiful, particularly this time of evening. So these frescoes on the wall, hopefully you can see that through the bars, they go back to about 650 AD. And it's quite obviously a room, this one, isn't it? It's just a bit hard to see, isn't it? Let's bring the camera up a bit closer. Can we see that through there? We're virtually at the top right now. Got to get back down and we've got to get back over there. And look, as the lights come on, it adds a magical element to it, doesn't it? So what do you think, everyone? Are you going to try and get to see Matera? I've got to keep heading down and then I've got to get up the other side, by the way. So we've just hiked back from Belvedere over there on the hill. The lights are fantastic, aren't they? So we've worked up a bit of an appetite, a little bit of a thirst. I think we should be able to find a nice little restaurant and just reflect on our day, how different Matera is to Alberobello with the Truly. So different. This is a very unique boutique hotel with personable staff and located in a great area of the Sassi district in a street full of restaurants and bars. And as we see here, a highlight was the wonderful breakfast served in this lovely dining room with great attention to detail. Every morning a talented pianist also plays for us. What a wonderful way to start any day. And what about the water storage below this dining room? It's amazing. I'll show you this soon. Buongiorno, good morning. Slept in the cave last night. Does that make me a caveman? No. Look, to be honest, it was so quiet in there, and they do create that atmosphere with the lighting in particular, only candles really. The globe lights are very, very low powered. Now, part of the package, the hotel we're at here, it's a 2-night stay, €680, so it's not cheap, but the quality of breakfast, I'm about to show you that. And just the room here is really beautiful, as is Matera. We've got a 2-hour walking tour coming up shortly at 10 AM, so I'm really looking forward to showing you around. Okay, so I've just left breakfast. I think I've taken the wrong exit, and look at this, pretty a labyrinth. I better make sure I know how to get back. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's go this way.
Now, underneath the hotel are 8 bell-shaped cisterns that date back to the 13th century. This complex water system contributed to the Sassi di Matera becoming a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Amazing, isn't it? This was all dug out by hand at some stage. Alright, so we'll walk back above that. That's the courtyard outside the breakfast area up there.
What an example of attention to the scarce resources of our planet, way back then, and an excellent example of sustainability. Through gutters, downpipes and channels, the water of rainfall was channeled into the cisterns, found in every home.
And that's just up near the reception area.
Rainwaters were forwarded through gutters, downpipes and channelings down to the cisterns connected to each household. The cisterns are visitable through narrow inner passageways. It's so silent down here. I found it peaceful, and certainly I was in the moment. So a mindful experience. I guess that explains the beanbags. Spend a little time down here to experience some silence, to be in the moment.
Back up to the dining room and up the stairwell here. Here we go. We organised a small group city walk tour through Get Your Guide. Check out this footage. Right, so we're heading towards our meeting point for our Get Your Guide city walking tour. We're just trying to navigate our way there, but one thing that stands out here is it's a bit tricky in the labyrinth of laneways. A little look up through there. Do you hear my watch go then? Steps. Now look, one of the many viewing platforms that overlooks the Sassi di Matera and all the way across to the Belvedere. We were over there last night. It's great, isn't it? Look at that. Giuseppe took our tour today. We've got 5 or 6 other people. You've got to do it. You do need to do a tour, because otherwise you're not going to understand the real background behind Matera. It's fantastic here. With our guide Giuseppe, we're now heading towards the old historical centre of Matera. So the line of buildings here really divided the modern Matera from the Sassi, which is the other side of these buildings, and the Sassi were the poorest of people living in there, and we can see that through here. Hey, so far so good with the walking tour. Giuseppe here, he knows his stuff, that's for sure, and we're learning a lot. If you look up at the circular window and the 2 statues either side, the wheel. It's actually called the Wheel of Fortune, not the game, but I guess it's symbolic of life and how it can turn on a dime, and you could be at the very top and going well, but all of a sudden things can change. Here in this piazza, it divides the 2 poorer Sassi areas, but up here, back in the day, the rich nobility lived, the clergy. It's quite an elite area, and that building there in front of me is now was a palace, and it's now a 5-star hotel. Okay, so we just had a great discussion from Giuseppe about the 20th century and the Sassi and the English shame, and how they were all moved out over a 16-year period from 1952 to 1968. The state then, as people were relocated, became the owners of the Sassi, because if you left your dwelling, the state owned it, because they gave you a new place in the modern part of Matera. And then those buildings were unoccupied for 20 or 30 years. And our guide told us when he was a young kid, his mum and dad would say, "Don't go into the Sassi," because unoccupied, you can imagine some of the illegal things that were happening there. And of course, as children do, that's the first thing he did. Him and his friends used to go into the Sassi. Now, you could buy an unoccupied building here for only €500, and that was a 99-year lease. But of course, then the expense of renovating it was on you. So we've got some interesting plumbing happening. Now, if you can see the water spout there, what's holding it up, do you think? Not iron, because that'll rust, and timber, that just wears out too. It's actually bone. Bone from tourists who have been lost. No, apparently animal bone. Can you see it there? Now that's a good example, isn't it, of using the resources that are available to you.
And we can divide Sassi, the old city, in three main areas that are Barisano, this part on the west. Now we are reaching the area of Civita, from the Latin term civitas, that means city. And behind the Civita, on the other side, there is Caveoso, that is the other Sasso district.
Now, if you like your James Bond movies, that scene where the motorbike takes off and leaps up over the wall, just filmed here. We've just been told that, I can confirm, and the bike landed just here. And the scene where the Aston Martin is driving along the roadway. See that road there where the cars are on? That's it.
So Matera has played and still plays a starring role in many movies, thanks to Sassi, its skyline, the atmospheric streets and the palaces. The number of films set in Matera is huge, as we can see by this list here.
How many have you seen? So we're going to enter into a cave house. There's some original images and we just need to use our imagination now.
It's a house carved into the local rock, the tufa. It is made up of two rooms connected to each other. The main room where you're standing right now is where all the daily activities used to take place. You can see the kitchen, where all the members of my family would gather around the table at lunchtime. As you can see, my parents' bed was very tall and far from the floor, both for giving away to humidity and for saving space to store goods and to let the hens and chickens run around. The mattress was filled with corn leaves. I can still hear the rustle in my mind. I used to sleep in the bed with my parents, while my siblings would either sleep in the crib that you can see at the bottom of the bed or in the highest drawer of the dresser, so that my mom could breastfeed them during the night. My house had no running water or drainage system. Walking up on stairs on your left hand side, you'll see the mouth of the stone cistern collecting rainwater. Our restroom was a simple terracotta base visible on your right called cantero that would be emptied every day in the ravine, ending up in the ravine.
It's hard to believe, isn't it, that a little more than 60 years ago, Matera was a shame of Italy, its cave-dwelling citizens living in such poverty without electricity, running water, sewerage. The death rate amongst the infants was so terrible.
So this little water fountain in 1927, this is where the first lot of water arrived from the aqueduct, so clean, fresh water. And it was the girl's job in the household to come down here and collect water.
Now, after talking about the shame of Italy, let's lighten the mood a little. Question: can you remember where you met your partner? Now, after the water fountain here was installed, this spot became a significant place to meet, as it was a girl's job to collect water from here. The boys knew that. Can you imagine their opening lines? just like water. You're essential to my life. What about this one? If beauty were a water droplet, you'd be an ocean. Is your name water? Because I can't live without you. So what do you think, everyone? How would they go?
Do you like a nice big loaf of bread? Here's a sample of the bread baked back in the day. Why so large? Well, you had to pay each time you visited the bakery. It wasn't based on weight, so why not make a big loaf of bread? Also down in the south, they use a softer wheat so it lasts longer, so a large loaf won't go stale as quickly as in the north of Italy. Thirdly, everyone had big families eat lots of bread. There you go. Now our guide just told us a great little story. So this is not the original stonework on the street. It used to be a bit like a canal because actually not that long ago human waste and so on was just emptied out into this canal. So they had little bridges built across so you wouldn't literally step in the you know what. And the lower down the hill you lived, the worse it was. So the muck and crap and the water and so on eventually found its way down into the ravine. Just a great thing to do here is to find a lovely bar that overlooks the Sassi, so you can sit there and have an Apperitivo on sunset and enjoy the Sassi as the lights come on. Now we went to the Terazza contact bar, and if you look it up, it's got lots of reviews, and I guess if I show you the images, they speak for themselves. Have a look at this. Expat Lifestyle with Bads. I hope you've enjoyed this episode here at Matera. It's a fantastic place to visit, and I encourage you to do so. Please like, subscribe, bell notifications on. I'll see you next episode, and I believe that might be at Verona. Ciao for now.